So RAM is this, right? That's the acronym dealing with science, right? They use RAM for a lot of shit. So for a lot of symbolism, I mean. So if computers are a replica of the human brain and how it connects to its nervous system, which drives the DNA, the chip will have to replicate it. And so because it deals with a Unix-like system just like the stars do, right? What an alpha beta system does. It deals with a Unix-like system, dealing with a time, a cycle. Feel me? So look, this is how they replicate it. So this is, in my eyes, I don't know, this is kind of random. Uh, so I'm just going with it. It's my first time kind of reading it past this part. So we're just gonna go with the flow. Fuck it. So, I mean, really, you can read by yourself. You know, you know how I be sometimes. Look, RAM, right, is a form of computer memory that can be read and changed in any order typically used to store working data and machine code. A random access memory device allows data act. Y'all heard that shit? Feel me? They be messing with pipes and shit on the ground, and they've been doing this shit since 2017. I've been feeling it. Around the time when the complex I was in, it's like I was laid back on a couch, like I went to sleep, but I didn't really feel like I went to sleep. But anyways, like the complex, the building went up in a tornado, right? Kind of like the old cartoons and shit, like Courage the Cowardly Dog or something. And when it came back down, it was like I stepped outside to see what the fuck happened because it felt like I was in a real tornado, right? So when I came back down, the complex is back in where it was. But when I went outside, everything was in debris. You feel me? Everything was in debris. My car was parked in the same spot. Everything, like the air, reminded me of Max Payne. When Max Payne was walking off the drugs and shit, he could see all the like the demons and shit. Like the third dimension broke down type shit. It was debris all around him. That's really how the atoms look. Atoms in the air. Once the third dimension breakdown, was gonna look like debris. But yeah, anyways, it threw me off because it was like everything was on fire in a way, right? And it was kind of like a reddish glow to everything, and orange, right? So from that, I was like, oh shit. I just remember like in my head, I was like, what the fuck? Then I went inside the house and then it did the tornado thing again. And then I came back to this reality. Again, 2017 is when a solar flash actually happened. It was like, I don't know. So I guess from there, they went back in time. And that's what we're dealing with right now with CERN. It's just the thing is, while they're fucking with CERN like that, the sun is giving off hertz and shit for us to remember. Like, my eyes, I'm starting to think this already happened 2018, which was the 11th. But you'll know by the time when 2018 hurts it, you'll know. Cause I feel like that was what they were trying to say in August or September, when the military dude, he was like, "You're gonna remember what happened this time and this day, or whatever," right? So that being said, I know I'm on some shit because we're talking about access memory. Feel me? Not the fake shit. We're just talking about waking up, period, right? So remember, I'm the first one who said this shit. Cause I done figured this cycle shit out. And it's kind of like some time traveling shit. You have to realize the quantum energies that you deal with to even time travel is setting yourself to that hurt. We're dealing with this hurt, right? And it's supposed to be another chance for them, low key, so, so we can remember. Feel me? Because they fucked up, period. So it's like a lot of us came back down for this moment right here. You feel me? But anyways, let's talk about this again. We're talking about the chip or whatever they try to use to even get your DNA memories. Other than social media, which still ties down to chip, the RAM. You feel me? Anyways, let's just see what this is about, because I don't know. All right, so boom. RAM or RAM is a form of computer memory that can be read. It's a form of computer memory that can be read or written in almost the same amount of time, irrespective of the physical location of data inside the memory. In contrast with other direct access data storage media, such as hard disk, CD-RWs, DVD-RWs, and other magnetic tapes and drum memories, right? Where time required to read and write data items varies significantly depending on their physical locations on the recording medium due to the mechanical limitations such as media rotation speeds and arm movement. RAM contains multiplexing and demultiplexing circuitry to connect data lines to address storage for reading or writing entry. Usually, more than one bit of storage is accessed by the same address. The RAM devices often have multiple data lines and are said to be 8-bit or 16-bit, etc. devices. In today's technology, random access memory takes the form of integrated circuits, IC chips with MOS, metal oxide semiconductors, memory cells. RAM is normally associated with volatile types of memory where stored information is lost if power is removed. RAM is normally, well, let's use the little pointer. Let's look, found something. Right, there's some random, even a thought to even go with, but it must be intuition. All right, trying to get this right. Boom. That's the part we need it. You feel me? Metal oxide semiconductor memory cells. Random access memory takes the form of integrated circuit chips with MOS. Metal oxide semiconductor memory cells. MOS. Semiconductor memory cells. Right? That's going to tie down to what you call your Xenobot. Let's continue on. RAM is normally associated with volatile types of memory where stored information is lost if power is removed. How would the power be removed? Due to an EMP or a great solar flash? really going to be a great solar flare, right? Unless the EMP is just covering up something that's fake. But we're going to keep on. Because this is really a global consciousness project that's going on right now. Low key. And that's when the rabbit hole gets deeper when I get talking like that, because it's like there's always a yin and yang to it. So it's like you have to use your own discernment. And that's pretty much what I'm going through right now. Because yes, I see the pros, but it's also cons dealing with these archons. Alright, so boom. Alright, so boom. What is a volatile type? Because really, I'm learning, and I just want you to learn. Not want, but I don't mind sharing this so you can learn with me. Feel me? As if you feel like this is beneficial to you. Really, I just like learning about shit. You feel me? I just know this shit comes down to the AI. Feel me? Because the this facto of them is using the AI with the drug, right? That's how they get you through the hospital. Feel me? Because that's what the study's always been about, DNA. And they always studied about weed because weed is actually like, it works like the sun. It's actually a star plant. And I could believe it's from Canis Major because it literally works like the power we get from Sirius throughout sun. And that's cellular reproduction, right? That's really why they use it for cancer patients, because it helps repair their cells. Whatever else extra they're putting in there is fucked up. So really, cancer patients, if you got cancer, the thing you would need to be doing is eating plenty of fruit and vegetables, right? Repairing your body, cleaning out the toxins, because the toxins is really what's producing the cancer, right? Through the hormones, right? So most, especially to the melanated beings, due to your genes matched the DNA that you need to be eating, which is through your fruits, herbs, and vegetables. Really, the fruits is going to do it, but you can't forget about your rainbow vegetables neither. And then the herbs help clean out your sodium channels even faster, so the fruit and vegetables can actually move through and alkaline your chakras all throughout your body, right? Because it's all about blood flow. So when you even dealing with cancer cells and shit, you dealing with dams or walls and parasites and shit, right? Just which makes you deteriorate. You feel me? It's a sarco-like thing, flesh-eating thing. You feel me? Because it kills your cells. And once it start killing your cells, now you're dealing with paralysis. You feel me? And paralysis is pretty much paralysis is like the effect from red blood cells dying, and that begin to die in your spleen, which is connected to your solar plexus. Or so that kills out your solar power when it's supposed to be raising up right now. So to get your charge back, you have to eat what connects to you and what you connect to. The food that was made for you, that's what you need to be eating. So as you begin to eat that under the sun, and while you're on this realm, your cells will actually start to repair themselves. But you gotta cut the shit that started it, which comes from animals, right? That's coming from your consumption. And then to be able to even stay down to it, you have to know that is for self. this diet that was given to you wasn't made for you, and that's the reason you're going through that. Other than that, you wouldn't be sick, period, right? So that's what we're dealing with right now. It's just, I'm not saying I'm smarter than nobody, but it's just, at this point, we just trying to stick to common sense. Because as you remember, that's all that's going to come through anyway. So I'm just trying to help you remember, right? Because a body wouldn't do something it's not supposed to do if it knew, right? It was just guided the wrong way. Now, self is finding you to guide yourself back to balance. We're trying to get back to balance. But anyways, let's read what volatile memory is. In contrast to the non-volatile memory is computer memory that requires power to maintain the stored information. It retains its content while powered on, but when the power is interrupted, the stored data is quickly lost. Volatile memory has several uses, including primary storage. In addition to usually being faster than forms of mass storage such as hard disk drives, volatility, vol- vol- volatility can protect sensitive information as it becomes unavailable on power down. Most generally, most general purpose random access memory. That's all right. So boom, that's like due to the falling of the sun, right? Because due to the falling of the sun, you actually created a moon reflection, which had a night type reflection. Feel me? I mean, a night type thing, because other than that, it would have just been bright. You feel me? It just would have been bright. So, but due to the fall, and say like, say like the pyramids and stuff was like electricity, like technology. It is technology, but I'm just saying that's natural technology. I'm saying like this type of technology, like dealing with wires and circuits and shit, right? So say we had 9G, right? It was the best fucking Wi-Fi system ever, right? But an EMP happened or a great solar flash happened, right? All the wires got disconnected, but we were connected to those wires that were like connected to certain memories. So it was like taking applications out of your brain type shit, you feel me? So due to like what we were connected to, just like the planet was, that's what happened. Uh, a lot of the main towers sunk, right? They're still connected to land, which is still connected to the planet. So due to the high UV, it's going to begin to rise. And it's going to reverse what happened to us. Our memory will be gained and stored because we remembered. Their memory that they have will be completely wiped. You feel me? That's why they're trying to save it by putting it in you. They're trying to put it in you to save their memory. Well, our memory, their studies, because the study has always been on our DNA due to drugs and devices, right? So we with something like that, cocaine or the crack pandemic, the cocaine actually comes from a natural plant, but once it gets like mixed with other shit, now it's like really a drug. You feel me? So that being said, when you mix other substances with one substance in a mixture becomes a different chemical compound. So when it comes to chemical compound, it could be used to reverse the qualities that it once had. So say the sun, right? Right. So say your cells reproducing. It's like they put cocaine or crack pretty much inside in the sky to deal with heat, and whatever falls is your product, right? But you got niggas tweaking out. They actually got people thinking about meat or their snacks and shit because of the drug that's in you already. It's like helping that parasite feed. It makes sense. And then on a mental scale, you give it power in mind because it feeds off a type of energy that's created from fear. Feel me? Because that actually helps generate them even more, dealing with your cells. Just think about when you're upset or something in the root chakra. It deals with your heart and your crown. Those are like the main three. It generates that power, and now but at the same time, it's feeding off of that. I forgot where the fuck I was going, but yeah, like weed is like the sun, and the crack pandemic or whatever is like the clouds that they use to block the cells. Because what happens is it blocks the sodium channels. The sodium channels deal with your melanin, which deals with your skin, your blood, which deals with your red blood cells, and your plasma, which I believe deals with your white blood cells and your red blood cells, right? Yeah, blood too, because the plasma is inside the blood, really. The plasma is actually the proteins in your blood, right? Something like that. The red blood cells have something called a hemoglobin, which helps transfers those proteins to your respiratory system, right? But when you're talking about red blood cells, you're talking about amino acids. Aminos. Well, your antibodies are real antibodies, not the fake ones. It's like real bodies. Anyways, right, the dynamic realm and the static realm is pretty much like one side of your brain, the other side, A and B. Feel me? I don't know if y'all read that or not, but yeah, it's something to look up at least. This is kind of like a little boring video, but it wasn't really made for anything like that. But let's look at the history of this. The IBM tabulating machines from mid-1930s used mechanical counters to store information for what? 1 megabit chip, one of the last models developed by VEB Carl Zeiss Jena in 1889. Early computers used relays, mechanical counters, or delay lines for main memory functions. Ultrasonic delays lines were serial devices which could only reproduce data in the order it was written, meaning number, dealing with numerology most likely, which deals with the alpha beta system. Drum memory could be expanded at relatively low cost but efficient retrieval of memory items required knowledge of physical layout of the drum speed to optimize speed. Latches built out of vacuum tube triodes and later out of discrete transistors were used for smaller and faster memories such as registers. Such registers were relatively large and too costly to use amounts of data. Generally, only a few dozen or a few hundred bits of such memory could be provided. The first practical form of random access memory was the Williams tube. Starting in 1947, it stored data as electrically electrically charged spots in the face of cathode ray tubes. Since the electron beam of CRT could read and write the spots on the tube in any order, memory was random access. The capacity of Williams tube was a few hundred to around 1,000 bits, but it was much smaller, faster, and more power efficient than using individual vacuum tube latches. Developed at University of Manchester in England, the Williams tube provided the medium on which the first electronically stored program was implemented in the Manchester Bay computer, which first successfully ran a program on 21st June 1948. In fact, rather than the Williams tube memory being designed for Baby, the Baby was testbed to demonstrate reliability of the memory. The magnetic core memory was invented in 1947, developed up until the 1970s. It became a widespread form random access memory relying on an array of magnetized rings. By the changing the sense of each ring's magnetization, data could be stored with 1 bit stored per ring or per atom. Since every ring had combinations of address wires to select and read or write, access to any memory location in any sequence was possible. Magnetic core memory was the standard form of computer memory systems until displaced by solid-state MOS, metal oxide silicon. I wonder what IOS is. Anyways, semiconductor memory and integrated circuits, ICs, integrated oxide silicon semiconductors. Is that what IOS is? Because MOS is magnetic core. So the I must be the integrated oxide silicons, which is going to tie down to Apple in Germany at 222 degrees east, 0 north by the Greenwich line. The sun is going to destroy that shit. But anyways, prior to the development of integrated RAID-only memory ROMs, circuits, permanent random access memory was often constructed using the diode matrices driven by address decoders or specially wound core rope memory planes. What's this? 'Cause I don't know. I don't even know how to pronounce that shit. All right. A diode matrix is two-dimensional grids of wire. Gemini, right? What is two? What is two-dimensional grids of wire? Gemini. Two wires makes a parallel to connect above and below. All right, let's get it. We're going somewhere. A diode matrix is a two-dimensional grid of wires, each intersection where in one row crosses over another has either a diode connecting them or the wires are isolated from each other. Because once the diode connects them, which is the D, it's a natural way and then an unnatural way. But I'm saying natural. It's been disconnected for a minute. But now it's coming back together because when A and B come together, it makes C, which is the light. And then that's enables the cell to receive the light so it can turn ultraviolet. Anyways, it is one of the most popular techniques for implementing read-only memory. A diode matrix is used as a control store or a microprogram in many early computers. A logical equivalent transistor matrix is still used as the control store or microprogram in many modern microprocessors. A single row of the diode matrix or transistor matrix is activated at any one instant. Charge flows through each diode connected to that row. The activities, that activates the column corresponding to each row, the DNA code. The only activated control signals during that instant were those whose corresponding column wires was connected to the diode to that row. Diode matrix ROM was used in many computers in the 1960s and the 70s. That's very significant years, as well as electronic desk calculators and matrix and keyboard matrix circuits for computer terminals. A keyboard matrix circuit has very similar grids of diodes, but is used differently, which was made off the study of us anyways. The microsequencer of many early computers, perhaps starting with the Whirlwind 1, simply activated each row of the diode matrix in sequence. After the last row was activated, it started all over again. The technique of microprogramming, as first described by Maurice Weiss, in terms of the second diode matrix added to the diode matrix control store. Later computers used a variety of alternated implementations of the control store, but eventually returned to the diode matrix or transistor matrix. A person would microprogram the control store on such early computers by manually attaching diodes to selected intersections of the word lines and bit lines. In schematic diagrams, the words lines are usually horizontal at a tilt, representing light, or the elliptical or the unit cycle. And the bit, like the elliptical tilt, the words lines are usually horizontal and the bit lines are usually vertical. The control store on the mini computers were one programmable logic array chips. The blank PLA from the chip manufacturer came with a diode matrix or transistor matrix with a diode or transistor at every intersection. A person would microprogram the control store on these computers by destroying the unwanted connections at selected intersection. The unwanted selections by them is the connection to you, to the planet. So you could be like them. Because what did Esau? Esau didn't like himself because he mutated from the same thing due to the AI and the drugs. There's probably more to read about this. That's on you if you want to. I was just reading about it to get a point out. And I guess that point got out by this time, so I'm going to just end this. Peace.